Look at us. What I have to do is... Ready?
Yep. Well, welcome to YES program number 6, show number 6. And YES stands for what, Jerry?
Yuma Entrepreneurial Success.
Before we start off with our special guests, we're going to start off with what we have learned with our daily actions and our daily reading, and we're going to share a quote. So first off, Jerry, welcome back. I know you were gone with your second Spartan of the Trifecta series, right?
Yes, it was a super 8.6 miles in Salinas, California, and it was every bit of fun, and it was a challenge, and had my calves cramp up on me about mile 7.
Wow.
And
you didn't have any mustard on you, huh?
You know, I found some.
Did you?
Yeah, necessity, right?
Yeah.
You make it happen, but it was great. It was an amazing experience. So I'm looking forward to the Beast coming up in September. It's going to be over 13 miles, and I definitely have to train up for that one. So
nice.
But
nice.
So since our last show, we as you know, society lost I believe someone that is a great man, Muhammad Ali, and this kind of leads into a quote for the day, a quote for the week. And something that he says is, Muhammad Ali said, is impossible is just a big word thrown around by small men who find it easier to live in the world they've been given than to explore the power they have to change it. Impossible is not a fact. It's an opinion. Impossible is not a declaration. It's a dare. Impossible is potential. Impossible is temporary. Impossible is nothing. So he was a great man. That guy just absolutely gets me fired up with the potential I have in my life, the potential we all have, and especially in this community. And I love that quote.
Yeah, I love his quotes as well. There's several that I love, and that's a great one. And my quote, like I was explaining to Jerry, I've had this book for a while. It's the Motivation Manifesto. And I told Jerry, I tried to read this about 6 months ago, or when the book first came out. I don't remember the particular date, but I just couldn't get into it. But then I picked it up the other day, and I couldn't put it down because I'm like a different man now. You change, your personality changes, perception changes, and it's like I'm reading a whole new book. So I'm going to take a quote off of this book called the Motivation Manifesto from Brendan Burchard. It says, if you want to build a ship, don't drum up people together to collect wood, and don't assign them to tasks and work, but rather teach them to long for the endless immensity of the sea. So I thought that was deep. So what that's speaking to me is that we have these tasks day to day, and sometimes we're not motivated to do that. Whatever it is we do, whether it's like you train for your Spartan, I'm sure you did mundane things, and you said, why am I doing this? But you have an end goal of doing that trifecta. Mm-hmm. So when you went out there and you did that Spartan, all of that preparation, all of that training came for that purpose.
Absolutely.
So when you're doing the tasks that you don't want to do, just think of your end goal. Think of why you're doing it. Because, and we've heard this time and time again, is that if it were easy, everybody would be doing it. But when we have that vision of what the end goal is, and we tell our brains this is why we're doing it, then the process is not so painful. So that I wanted to share.
That's a great one. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah. So again, everything is perception. I thought this book was not for me, but now here I am at this stage of my life, and I think it's a great book. So now we're going to get to
our guest.
The best part of the meeting, which is introducing our honored guests. Jerry, would you do that for us, please?
Absolutely. So we have with us today Jaime Honold, and someone that I've had the blessing and the opportunity to know for well over 10 years now. I first met Jaime in 2006 when we built the new Burgers and Beer just off of 4th Avenue. And that was an extremely fast-paced project. And dealing with Jaime and his father was an amazing process. And it was a very fun project. And I will say that building looks pretty darn good after all these years. And I think you've served probably a couple million people through there by now. And the other thing that was really really exciting is Jaime rewarded us with we finished on time in time for the holiday season, and we were invited to a pregame tailgate party at a Chargers game in San Diego, and it was a tailgate party that I will never forget. It was some of the best food I have ever had, bar none. I mean, it was amazing. It was a fun experience. So when we reached out to Jaime about coming and speaking to us and to you guys, he didn't give any I'll try or maybe. He was absolutely 100%. So I want to thank you for that, Jaime.
My pleasure.
And the first thing, we kind of have a pretty much a set schedule of questions, and we just kind of work through them. And the first thing is, would you just kind of tell us a little bit about kind of where you grew up, where were you born, and how you started business in Yuma? And
yes. Well, I was born in Guadalajara, Mexico. My dad used to work for Woolworth. I don't know if you remember the store, Woolworth, and he was the manager over there. And he went and opened Woolworths all over Mexico, Mexico City, Guadalajara, León, Tijuana. So in every town, one of my brothers was born. And I got lucky to be born in Guadalajara, beautiful city. I was there for the first 2 years of my life. Then my dad moved back to Tijuana, and then he retired. He moved my family, to Mexicali, where he opened a department store called Honold's, where he sold toys, clothes, food, and everything. And then I grew most of my first 10 years, I grew up in Mexicali. And then my dad had a little bit of a food, a couple of restaurants. Mm-hmm. And I remember I went to San Diego, and he took me to a restaurant called Bo Weevil. And that's how Burgers and Beer started. But anyways, I'll tell you the story later. Yeah. And then we moved, when I was 10 years old, I moved to Calexico, and then I lived there I think we were there for 10 years, and then moved to El Centro, and my home in El Centro has been there since then. And then I came to Yuma to open our third store then, Burgers and Beer, their Burgers and Beer, in 1991. And like you said, we remodeled the store in 2006, and we've been here since then.
Okay, awesome. Yeah. So now Honold, what nationality is that?
Honold's German.
German, okay.
Yes, my grandfather came from Stuttgart, Germany. He came to America to bring a Omega watch. He was the first person to bring the Omega watches to America. He was planning to go back, but when he arrived and he met my grandmother, he never came back. His family is still there, or I guess my cousins. He never came back. He loved Mexico and the United States.
So he came. So your grandfather came and was in Guadalajara?
Actually, no. He came through Veracruz, Mexico, and then he worked his way all the way to San Diego.
Oh, okay.
And that's what he met my grandmother.
Oh, very cool.
Yeah.
That's very neat.
So what was it like growing up? It seems like your father was pretty much an entrepreneur at heart. So what did he teach you that, hey, you got to go in business for yourself to make it, or how was it growing up?
Well, my dad always put us to work when we were kids at his store, either selling candy or cleaning up the warehouse. Whatever we had to do, he took us to work and put us to work. So he taught us that life wasn't easy, and if you want to make it up, and he never paid us, because he said, if I pay you, then you're gonna get money. He showed us that nothing's easy, and that's how you are gonna grow and learn how to be successful, by working when you're young and not receiving anything for it, not rewards, because it's not easy.
Yeah.
And anyways, when the idea for Burgers and Beer came over, it was me that I told him, Dad, let's open this restaurant. I want to do it in the United States. And he said, no. So after many tries, he said, okay, let's do it. And I was 17 years old then, going to high school in Mexicali, CETIS. We started. I didn't know anything about business. I just wanted to do it. I had the will to do it, and my dad had the knowledge of running a business, and that's how we started.
So then, so you graduated high school, and then you did not go to university, or?
I graduated from CETIS in Mexicali. It's a prep school, and then I since we opened the restaurant when I was still in high school, I went to IBC, Imperial Valley College in El Centro, and I tried to stay as long as I could because we kept growing, and then we came to Yuma, and then I had to stop going to IBC. I was going to go to AWC, but I got too much involved. Business wasn't easy, you know. You had to be there 24/7, and I just quit.
Okay.
And
so you went the entrepreneurial route, and there's actually a lot of people now in Silicon Valley, in particular, that are saying that kids shouldn't go to college right away; that they should go out and start a business, and they'd be better off doing.
Well, let me put it this way: I think you should go to college.
Yeah.
I mean, because for me, it wasn't easy. I mean, I worked so hard, and I'm still working 24/7. And I believe that if I would have finished my school, things probably would have been a lot easier for me, because I learned the hard way.
Uh-huh.
I mean, you learn, you make your mistakes, and you try not to make them again. But see, I think, I don't know, because I didn't go to college, but if you go to college, I think you will have less mistakes to learn from if you go and finish school.
Yeah.
So I encourage everybody to finish school, but I just couldn't.
Yeah.
But you got in there, got it done. So how did you learn about? Did you have a mentor teaching you about the business, or you just learned?
Like I
that?
said, my dad's in the business, and he's the one who taught me, and he's still there. I mean, he's there. I run the operation, but he's in the corporate office pointing fingers and telling you, you're doing this wrong, you're doing that wrong. And I mean, if it wasn't for him, I probably wouldn't be here right now talking about it, because it would have been a lot tougher. So his knowledge and my willing to do it.
Yeah. And your willingness to listen.
To listen.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's hard to listen, because you think you know it all and you don't. So.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's what I was trying to say, that you learn from your mistakes.
Absolutely.
So what sparked the idea? You were in high school when you thought of opening the restaurant. So what, as a kid, you always knew that, hey, I want to open up a restaurant. You like cooking. You like, give us a little more background.
Maybe because when I told you earlier that my dad always taught us to work and to try to look for a better future and try hard and I had a dream that I went to this restaurant. I always wanted a restaurant, food, something sell and TVs and the whole works. And I saw this restaurant in San Diego. Says that's what we need to do, because we don't have that in the Imperial Valley, and I think we're gonna do fine. And I just wanted it. I wanted it, and that's why.
That burning desire.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And that's one of the things. If you have a dream, whatever it is, follow through. Because if you have a dream, I can guarantee 99% of the time you're going to be successful.
Absolutely.
Follow your dreams, whatever it is.
I think, and we've talked about this before, is I think everyone has something in their gut that's calling them, and it's having the courage to follow it. Because a lot of times it's scary. I mean, you didn't know anything. By what right should you have started a restaurant? You were 17 years old. You knew nothing about it, but you said, I wanted to do it, and I'm going to make it happen.
And that's the secret of success. Don't be scared. If you want to do it, and don't be scared, because the time you're scared, that's when you fail, and you have to start all over again. But be positive, work hard, be ethical, and everything will be working and be fine.
Absolutely.
Talking about failure, were there times? I know you've been since. When did the first restaurant start? What year?
We started in Calexico in 1985 in a small place that had only 7 tables. That's it.
Wow.
And then we moved to El Centro, which was very successful. We moved into an old building owned by Del Taco, Pollo Loco, and then Burgers and Beer. So it was an old building. And then we opened in Yuma over here, and we struggled a little bit trying to get ourselves known here in Yuma, but we made it. But then you were asking me if we struggle. We opened Calexico we remodeled Calexico. We went to a huge building from 7 tables to almost 70 tables, 2-story building, beautiful, state of the art. But then the peso devaluation came over and everything went down. I mean, it was really bad. It was very tough for us. Even here in Yuma, we struggled because Yuma was only 3 years. I think 3 years open, so we was barely cutting off the 3-year period when a restaurant breaks down and it starts working. And then after that, we had an accident that happened in our parking lot that even hurt us a little more. But we grew up that, and everything's working fine. But yes, we had ups and downs, and so I think that's.
How did you deal with the lowest you were, or did you ever think, man, why is this worth it? How do we get through this? Or did you always have the mindset is just go on another day of business? Or how did you deal with that?
Believe me, you always have your doubts about should I keep doing this, or is it worth it? But keep trying, because you have to follow your dream. You always think about it. No, I have to follow. You have to follow through. You got to keep going wherever you want to go. But yeah, there's so many days that you want to just drop the towel and just say no more. And then I have a quote over here that I want to read to you guys.
Great.
Absolutely.
Let me see if I can find it. But anyways, yeah, many times you want to throw the towel. As a matter of fact, right now we are on our sixth restaurant. We just opened Temecula, and we thought it was going to be easier, and no, it's been really, really hard for us. The new store in Temecula, and I mean, everything was perfect till we opened that store. But we're gonna make it happen, and hopefully it'll work. So we'll see.
That's great.
So while you're pulling that up, I mean, obviously you have failed in your endeavors, and that's just part of it. Failure is going to happen. Failures are lessons. Go ahead.
Okay, it's in Spanish, but I'm gonna try to. It says, "At times I want to throw the towel to the floor, but God picks it up, and He puts it back in my hands, and He says, 'Don't forget that this battle is between both of us.'"
Yeah.
And that's what I always think about. I mean, remember, you're not alone.
Absolutely, I love that.
A lot of people following you.
Yeah.
All your employees, all the people that depend on you. Keep going, and I mean, come on.
So it's something bigger than just you.
It's more than just about you and your ego and being frustrated or whatever. Well, Jaime, so tell us about as much as you're willing to share. What has been your biggest failure, and what did you learn from it in all the years? What's the one thing that just really got you in the gut, and then how did you learn from it, and then I guess the way it seems to be, I always seem to improve once you get some time from that failure, you realize, oh, this was just part of a bigger plan. Or
probably I don't have a huge failure, but like I said before, probably not finish school. It's my biggest failure that I have. But in the other one, maybe when I don't listen to my dad and I give him I said, no, I know better, and at the end, he's always right. So.
Yeah. Does your dad have Facebook?
He does.
Oh, okay.
He does. He never watches because he doesn't like it, but
okay.
I know.
Well, he might want to listen to this one. That's awesome.
That's very cool. So, other than the restaurant, you probably don't have time for much else, right? But you, I know that you have to be passionate about other things. What is it that you're passionate about other than the restaurant?
Besides the restaurant,
yes.
Of course, my wife and my kids. I mean, that's my passion. When I'm working, I'm always thinking about them. When I'm working, when I'm driving home, when I'm in Yuma or in Temecula, I'm always thinking, I wish I could be home with them doing their homework or talking about what happened. Because when I get home, they're always in bed, so I hardly see them. And I always look forward for my time off Sundays to go out and have fun, and or our vacation. So, and then what was the question again?
What are you passionate about other than work?
And to get distracted from the stress, I'm very passionate about running.
Okay.
I run a lot. So that's what I do.
Tell us about that. I know that I do a little dabbling in running too, and what are you trying to qualify for? What are you trying to do?
Well, my goal, I'm 48. I'm turning 49 in September. But when I turn 50, my goal is to qualify for the Boston Marathon. And I'm trying to, because that's the only marathon you cannot just sign in and go in. You have to qualify. That's my goal for when I turn 50.
Awesome. Great, and you're gonna do it because you declared it to us.
Put it out in the universe.
Yes, that's right. And you just ran a half marathon this past weekend. Right?
Yes, I done so far this year, I think 7.5 marathons, and my best time was 1:43. So
wow.
I'm pushing for under 1:40. Once I do under 1:40, then I'll try to run the marathon under 3:40.
Why do you run?
Stress.
It's so boring.
Well, you get used to it, and then when you run, you take everything out. You know what I mean? All the stress you have inside of you, and everything.
But you could do that running 2-3 miles or a 5K. Why a marathon?
You get hooked to that. This is how I started. A friend of mine invited me to run a race, a 5K, and I did it, and I felt good.
Yeah.
And then he said, okay, let's do a 10K, and I did it, and I felt good. Okay, let's do a half marathon, and I did it, and I felt good. And That's why. I mean,
Yeah.
and then when you run on an event like that, all the people, all the action, everything that goes around gives you a lot of energy, a lot of excitement. So
It's
and
fun.
feel
You're
great.
around a bunch of people that are also the same mindset. They want to improve, and so how long have you been running then? Is that
On and off, probably since my first kid was born in 2000.
okay?
Hmm.
And that's just been a total transition in your business and personal life. Just
It helps.
It helps. Huh?
It helps. Yes,
Absolutely.
it helps a lot.
How about is it hard for you to finish? Do you feel pain at the end, or you're pretty much it comes easy to you?
At the beginning, a lot of pain. Right now, the pain is that I want to beat the time, and I just can't. I don't know why. Sometimes I can do it, sometimes I can't. But I don't feel pain as far as a finished race when you want to drop down. No, I have a lot of energy. Now the fight is against the time.
Against
when
the
I
time.
keep beating the time, and
Interesting.
beating the time, and beating the time.
That's one of the things I found in this last race that I had was it seemed to be very applicable, the lessons in the race to life. And by that I mean things happen that you don't expect. And like we were talking about earlier, my calves locked up at mile 7. And I mean, that's never happened to me before. And I was on top of an obstacle and I'm like, what am I, I've got to land. And my calves are like, how am I going to do this? So I got to work through this. And so it's almost like a mini stage of failure.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm failing right now. Okay, what am I going to do? Am I going to quit? And somebody asked me that on one of the obstacles later on down the road, almost at the finish line, both of my calves locked up on me, immense pain, some of the worst pain I've ever felt. The guy's like, "Are you going to be able to finish?" And I was like, "Hell yeah, I'm going to finish. The finish line's right there. I didn't come all this way." But it's that mindset. I could have easily quit, and just like just the quote, you throw that towel down and no, it comes back up. You can't quit. You can't quit.
And you had your family with you then, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So you.
Absolutely, yeah. What would that do?
Right.
I'm not gonna. What kind of lessons am I gonna teach my daughter?
Exactly.
So that's part of the lessons that we wanted to get across to everyone is being physically fit and taking care of your body. It's so important to the entrepreneurial lifestyle. It feeds. It's one. They feed each other. They feed off each other. So. So what do we have next here? What's the last one we have? So this is the big question that the one piece of advice or a couple things that you could give to the entrepreneurs, the future entrepreneurs that are listening to us right now. What's that one or two pieces of advice that you could give?
Well, I always tell my employees or right now the managers that run the stores, because it's hard for me to be in every single store, is that you have to lead by example. And what I say about that is if how can you teach somebody how to do something if you don't do it?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they have to learn from you by you putting an example to them.
So showing somebody, look, this is the proper way to wipe a table down and bus a table.
And not only showing them, but do it.
Yeah.
They gotta see you do it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, right now, if you go to a restaurant, sometimes you're gonna see me watch the clean tables or flipping burgers, or I get into it because it has to be part of it. You're part of a team.
Mm-hmm.
You know better than anybody.
It's the sea
Yep.
and the ship.
That's right.
You know better than anybody. You're all the same. You're a group. You're a team. And in order for you to lead a team, you have to lead by example.
Mm-hmm.
And the last one is that, like we said about